change the subject a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Some of your new recordings also came out on cassette.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Will this be appreciated just like vinyl nowadays?
Well, it's a nostalgia. I hate calling it a product, but it is. It's a, let's say, format product. It's a nostalgia. It's a nostalgia that at one time it wasn't a nostalgia, it was a necessity. You know, we had vinyl or we had cassette. And it's not that we appreciated cassette format when it was a needed format. I just answered basically my own question too, or observation, which it wasn't about appreciation, we just needed to have cassettes. There was an advantage of having a cassette over vinyl. You could put it in your car, you could put it in, you could carry it around, you could, you know, I'm saying the obvious, but that's what cassette was all about. It was a huge, cassettes were an enormous advantage when they were around, and then also to be able to record or dub your vinyl onto a cassette and then take it with you was amazing, because now imagine you could just put it in your portable, your Walkman or whatever, and walk places and be in different atmospheres, and you know, from the forest to the city, anywhere you could listen to your favorite albums like this. Nowadays there's a demand for it. There's little spikes, little peaks and drops for the demand of cassette. I don't know why. I'm assuming nostalgia. It seems to be there's a big wave of like 20-something-year-olds right now, big growth right now I'm noticing, and they really like the cassette thing, and you know, I like the sound. So maybe the people who are into cassette right now enjoy the, you know, that punchy, slightly compressed analog sound of the cassette. That's an advantage that you do have nowadays over the digital format.
You have a very unique sound. Could you please tell us about your gear that helps you achieve this sound?
Well, I have to control myself on that one, because I really like talking about gear and sound. Well, as people know, we are drums, guitars, vocals. Really, for sound, I'll speak mostly about, I don't mean to be an egocentric or anything, but I'll speak mostly for the guitars. It's mostly, basically, the sound I have with the guitars are the sound I want. I always leave the drum sound to Incubus. It's I respect what he wants, and we really have good chemistry for coming to conclusions of, you know, what type of snare, what type of tunings, and all these things in the percussive department. For guitars, it's taken many years of trial and, I guess you could say, error. I don't like saying error, because I've always been happy with my sound, but I've always been chasing something greater and I guess different or better than what I've been doing previously with sound. Really, to summarize, I really like, for those who don't know, they would have to look into it, but basically in guitar, in metal, there's two schools of overdrive. You have what's called the American high gain guitar sound, and then you have the British overdrive, overdriven sound. So you have American and British. I'm really heavily into the classic British tone. Basically the 80s metal guitar sound, just boosted a bit more, making the British tone a high gain, almost American high gain guitar sound. I like big mid-range, lots of mid-range. I like the low end, I like the highs, but I love the mid-range. I love for the harmonics to just jump out. And these are things that, maybe these are words people have heard, they already know. Those who don't know, you can look up what harmonics are. Basically, harmonics are like frequencies within frequencies that make sounds sound good. It's kind of complex, but with mid-range, you have these beautiful harmonics jumping out. And I use that word beautiful because that's what I want my tone to be. Quote, nice. I like the contrast of brutal riffs, brutal melody, aggressive melody, mixed or combined with beautiful mid-range harmonics. It's just two opposites that merge together, and they really inspire me. I love it for these big, rich power chords. Though you could say a little bit of influence there is the early 80s. Everything from early, not the band, but the guitar player, Eddie Van Halen, even George Lynch chords, the early heavy metal days, all the way to like Judas Priest style chords, transformed into this, like what I like to say, evilized minors, diminished notes thrown in there into these things. So really there's a strong, real strong, almost heavy metal guitar style thrown in to the emotions that black metal bring you, which is dark and obscure, and black metal as we know it. And at the end of the day, the biggest inspiration for me in sound was Angus Young and his brother Malcolm, his style of chords and the way he worked these old Marshall amps so beautifully with their playing, not so much relying on the gain, but rather playing hard and rich and nice big chords. That's that's it.
You mentioned that you like heavy riffs, but also the melodic parts. So does that mean that when you write your music, do you use acoustic guitar and electric guitar as well?
That's a good question. No, I don't use acoustic, but like a lot of us guitar players, we're not always plugged in and with the volume at 8 or 10 and writing riffs and just no, there's times where I just grab the guitar and the electric guitar and not plug in or anything and just look for these things. The answer really is yes, acoustically. There's quite a few things that were written just unplugged, just acoustically, yeah. Very much, actually, yeah. It's interesting you bring that up because sometimes I need to be unplugged. I don't want overdrive. I have a Alvarez Jairi classical guitar, nylon string. Sometimes I'm just too lazy to take it out of the case, out of the closet, and it's easier just to grab the electric and hear the riffs on the metal strings of the electric guitar, but unplugged, no gain, because it allows me to hear more clearly the actual melody, the roots of the melody. Gain basically multiplies the signal and just makes it more wicked and edgy like we like it, but I want to hear the clean form of the melody before I overdrive it, and so yeah, that's why it's good to do the acoustic thing. Yeah.
You mentioned that when it comes to technical things, you agree with Incubus on most of the things. Was it like this in the beginning when you started playing together as well, or did it?
It really was, and I feel very lucky, very fortunate that from the beginning that we've been playing together. I've always had a very open mind to accept ideas from him and everything, but he really, really respects, and more than respects, really trusts the things I'm writing. When I say write, the melodies, the riffs, the structure of the song, and all that. And I say trust because that's what it takes. It takes some trust to say, well, I'm the drummer. Not all drummers play guitar, so if you don't play guitar as a drummer, you have to really, you have to really, really trust the fact that what your guitar player is writing is, I guess, what would be possibly a good song, you know, and that's important for a guitar player, or it's important for a drummer to connect. This is my personal opinion. It's important for a drummer to connect emotionally with the riff that the guitar player is writing, because, you know, he's going to feed off of that. You're also, in my case, I would like to inspire the other person in the band. So when it's the drummer's turn to contribute arrangements, that they, in this case, the drummer arranges emotionally, not just clinically or technically, or, you know, but really, like what we talked about with fans at a show, to feel part of and resonate, right, with a song. So a 2-piece or a 10-piece band, it's important for people to really feel what's being done, so they can even, in fact, contribute ideas that can even make the song more interesting, or make, you know, just add to it. So yeah, but we've worked very well together, and from the beginning, like that, good chemistry. So.
And is this friendship a musical friendship, or are you friends outside of music as well?
Of course, we've always been friends outside. You know, we don't see each other as much anymore because we tour all the time together. So when the tours are over, you know, you need your space. You need to focus on your personal life and your personal things. And we do a lot of touring. We do a lot of shows. So, you know, again, it's the same formula if you're a 5-piece, 3-piece, 2-piece. You know, when you're back home, you need to, it's important to be with yourself. It really is. And as an artist too, or just as a human being, really give yourself some time. Because when you're touring a lot, you're not with yourself that much. You're with crew, and you're with bandmates and other bands, and you know, no offense, but with fans, and you're giving everybody, because you choose to, you're giving everybody yourself to a certain extent, just like fans are giving themselves to you, you know. But you're doing this every night or every other night, or and same thing within the band. You know, you're around each other, you're in this circle, and it's important to break that when you're off tour. So you can, again, like I said, dedicate yourself to your personal things. Your personal life is very important, because for everybody it's important, obviously, but I'll speak as a musician. Your personal life is a huge foundation of everything you do as a musician. It's like anything, anything you do in life makes you who you are, and in this case, life is not always just a professional situation. You know, there you have your spiritual side, you have your many, we all know this, you know, you have different chapters within your life, and all those things need to be in order, and yeah, so important.
You said in an interview that you chose the name Inquisition for the band because it represents man's need for control, order, and to rule others.
Mm-hmm.
If you would choose a band name now with your current mindset
Mm-hmm.
and knowledge, would you choose the same name?
Yes, yeah.
So it still represents the same things to you then?
Yeah, and there were many, well, not many, but there's couple other reasons why I chose the name. It's the era it represents. You know, I don't think you always have to go back thousands of years back to all the way to Samaria for things to be much more interesting and appealing. I just, something about medieval Europe is just very, it doesn't stop amazing me. And what was behind the Inquisition is people really, they focus on other things that are a very obscure or evil side of man, all the way up until modern history. But we always forget, you know, between Rome and the Inquisition, it was those were some brutal times, vicious times. And everything behind the Inquisition is just black metal to me. You know, you look at what the church did in the name of their God, and how they established this order and this control over people through physical pain and mental abuse, using the mask of God, and just to on this crusade to take land and grab land and create these kingdoms and these empires. And it was just history repeating itself like it always has since Samaria. You know, religion controlling people, torturing people, genocides, kingdoms growing and then falling, and then it repeats itself in other areas of the world. But at the end of the day, it's humans doing the same thing again for a lust of power and control.
Do you think there's a hope for us, for the human race, that we will get out of this circle one day?
What worries me is to avoid, if this is actually a question, if you mean that when you say this circle, as in empires growing, empires falling, and empires growing to a certain level, to be there they have to basically clean house, war, and extreme genocide and all this stuff. If that's what you mean, no, it's never going to go away, because I think it's being done in a different style now, and in a much more silent manner. And it's a touchy subject, but to some people, not to me. It's not a touchy subject to me, but it's. I think wars will be fought differently very soon, and I don't mean through this whole drone cyber war. Yes, that is will be happening, but I mean also through other means. My intuition tells me, and usually my intuition is really strong. It's pretty good. But the vibe I get is religions will be falling slowly. I think they are going away. Religion as we know it. These other, maybe possibly other religions that were only an exotic thing to us in the past might be growing more. We were just talking about this the other day. Seems like Buddhism is on the rise. Islam is on the rise. Maybe those will eventually fall, and people are going to realize maybe in hundreds of years from now that those things didn't work. Maybe they're going to go back to nature. I don't know what the cycle is, but I think wars will be fought in a different way. I think, not to get too much into this modern stuff, but really financially, I think that's where the wars are right now. I think it's heavy stuff. It's heavy stuff. You know, one world, one government, that kind of thing. So, yeah, more billionaires are on the rise, billionaires unionizing, and I think that's what it's going to evolve to. So.